One of the most simple 3D objects you can create in Vectorworks is an extrusion. Now you could either start with a rectangle, so I could just create a rectangle like that, or you can use a polygon. Let's try a rectangle first. Model, extrude. Type in the height that you want, let's make it say 12 feet high, and that creates a 3D object called an extrusion. If we look at this from a 3D view, I want to use a rear left. So there's my extruded object. You can also use a polygon. If I use this paint bucket or create polygon from inner boundary, click, there's my object. We can color it, then we can extrude it. Let's make it say 2.7 meters high, or about 9 feet. Rear isometric again, and now you can see I've got the bit in the middle and I've got the surrounding building. So those are the most simple ways you can create objects in Vectorworks, 3D objects. It's just the extrude. There's a simple way to create a tapering shape. In this situation I've got two rectangles and I want to create a tapering chimney. Go to model on the menu bar. We've got to select the two rectangles first, then go to model on the menu bar, multiple extrude. Type in the height we want. Let's make it say 4 meters high, and you notice the shape changes here in plan view. What also changes is the 3D view. You'll see that I've got a tapering shape. So that's how you create a tapering chimney sort of shape. Now it's based on the two shapes that you start with, the two rectangles, the one at the bottom and the one further up here at the top. Now the order is very important. If you get them in the wrong order, then you'll find that your tapered object or your multiple extrude actually goes upside down. You can fix it by editing this, by making sure that this is at the front. Now I've gotten rid of the send commands for that, so if I send that to the back, my tapered extrude will be upside down. There it is. So let's edit that again, and I'm going to select this one, send that to the back. Now everything should be alright. If I drag the corner of this object over to the corner of that one, it will change my finished shape. So you can go back and make lots of changes to a multiple extrude. Another way to create, we need our shape, then you go to model and choose tapered extrude, put in the height and the taper angle. So the height is about 3.5 meters and the taper angle of 5 degrees. Now you can only use this object or this concept with rectangles and stuff. When I try and use a polygon, I can't use it. So what you have to do is to make sure that your object is a rectangle. Let's get rid of that polygon. There's a few polygons in there. So I can use a rectangle, I can use a circle, so I can make that into a tapered extrude. I can make a rectangle into a tapered extrude. Just draw a rectangle in here. I want the rectangle to be rotated, so I'm using the rotated rectangle mode, and I can create that into a tapered extrude as well. So all of those will work as tapered extrudes. Polygons will not. I'm going to create some shapes. I'm just going to use my polygon tool because I want to create that shape and this one. I'm going to color them in differently so you can see them. So this one's going to be a claret color and this one Bermuda gray. Now I'm going to change to a 3D view from the back. I want to look at this tool here. So this is called the PushPull Tool. Now it's very quick at creating an extruded object. You move your cursor near it, the cursor changes color. You move near the object and the object will change color. It should get a red color. Now just have a look, there are 3 different ways of using it. This one's the extrude face, the move face and the sub face. I want to look at the first one. You move near an object and then the object changes color. You lift it up and you type in the height you want. Enter twice and it actually extrudes that object. Try that again. Let's lift that up to 4.5 meters. So now I've got two objects at different heights. And when I render them, there they are, rendered. So it's very quick to make these objects. The beauty is that it's actually very quick to make changes to the objects. So you can pull sides of an object. I'm just going to render this with OpenGL. It'll be a lot quicker for us to work around. So I can pull this out. I can grab hold of this top. I can pull that up. A bit too high, I know. Grab hold of this, pull that up as well. So you can just sort of push and pull faces around. This tool on the 3D toolset is called the working plane, or the set working plane tool. When you move it around, you'll notice that it snaps to objects. So we can get it to snap to the face of our rectangles, for example, snap to the top of the 3D part of the rectangle, and so on. The set working plane tool becomes really useful for editing things like this object. Because when you set a working plane, one of the new concepts in Vectorworks is the ability to draw on that plane. So if I draw a rectangle now, I can actually draw a rectangle on that plane of that object. If I color that something different, something easy for you to see, you'll see there it is. And if I turn the view, it looks like I've drawn a kind of a window or a door type shape. You can set the working plane to the top of objects. You can see it there highlighted. Let's just set a working plane to the top center of that rectangle. You can set it to the edge of an object like that, and you can also use these handles here to rotate your working plane. So I could rotate my working plane around till it was perpendicular to my object. So now I should be able to draw objects directly on top, like that. We can draw whatever we like, lines, wiggly lines, whatever. Just make sure you touch a corner of that object or a part along the line of the object so that it finishes. You will notice that as you try to work on a working plane, quite often that the cursor jumps around to different parts. Also, you might notice this here, our active plane has gone from layer plane to working plane. That's because we now have a working plane to work to. If it's set on screen plane, then you won't be drawing on the working plane. If you choose screen plane, actually the working plane goes away. When we create a working plane or grab our set working plane tool, you'll notice that your active plane automatically jumps back to working plane. Let's go back and have a play with our push-pull tool now that we understand a little bit more about working planes. I can pull this up to a specific height. I can set a working plane on the top of that object, and I can draw a line or a curvy line on the top of that. Now that line should be, or that curve should be sitting on the top of that object. I'm just going to check to make sure, because I don't want it to fall out of scale as it has done there. That should be on the working plane of that object. Let's just draw it again. Make sure we're on our working plane, not our screen plane. So I want to start midpoint along there, curve it, and finish there. Now with our push-pull tool, if we use the third mode, we can click on that line, click on this block, and then we can choose which portion we want to change. So that's that whole portion of the block. This is the smaller portion. If I click and drag it down, particularly if I touch the other block here, I've now got a cut in the side of my 3D model. I can do it with a straight line as well if I want. So from there to there, back to my push-pull tool. So select the line, select the block, and then pull this part down, say halfway. So this is editing my model, completely changing it. if you want, you can create a working plane on the front and you could pop in windows. So I'm just going to draw a couple of rectangles, like one here. Just be careful where you snap. You might want to disable the snaps at some point. And I'm going to copy some of these along. So if I just grab that and control drag or option drag along, it should have dragged that just about in line. It didn't at all. So let's do that again. Back to my 3D view. Let's set a working plane on the front of that object. That's that one there. And there is a trick here where you can say, let's look at the working plane. So now I'm looking square onto my working plane. So now what I should be able to do is drag a copy of that along without it jumping out of alignment. I've got my option key and my shift key down on a Macintosh, or the shift and the control key on a Windows machine. And then just Apple duplicate or control duplicate, and I've now got a couple of windows in there. So let's go back to my push-pull tool. So I should be able to select my rectangle, my block. Let's pull that in by, let's make it 2 feet in by 600 millimeters. Let's do the next one. Click on the rectangle, click on the block, drag it in, touch that block that's already in there, click, click, drag that in, touch the end of the block. And so you can see it's now starting to give quite a modeling effect to my rectangle or my blob. This started off as a rectangle. I've now cut that portion out. I've cut the back portion out. This part here is still going to be going through my height to boundary, and I will still have to deal with that. You could cut this off, we could split it, or we could cut it from the other direction. So those are some things we can look at. I just want to spin that round so I can look at it from this side here. Quick rendering. And there it is. You can see I've now got those holes in that model. So I can still carry on with that. I could still put, for example, I could put a garage door in here. And we could pull that in. So click on that rectangle, click on that block, and then just pull that in by whatever distance you want. And so I've now cut a little portion out of that. So using the push-pull tool, you should be able to change the shape, stretch, pull, push stuff around, cut holes in it, pull sides out, all kinds of stuff with this. So that's that face there. Draw a rectangle if you wanted to have a rectangular shape, say on there. And we can add that to the building by pulling it out. So click there, there, and pull that out this way. Maybe only bring that out by about 6 feet. So you should be able to have a lot of fun by pushing and pulling and cutting and popping holes in it to create a kind of a conceptual model that you want. This object here, because I'm pretty sure that this end of the building is going to stick through my height restrictions in relation to this boundary. So one of the things I could do with this is to set a working plane on the end of that object, look at that model from the working plane, and then cut the back end off using the split tool. I'm just going to cut it like that. Now you might notice that other objects are highlighting as well as the one that I'm cutting through. The way you prevent these other objects from being cut through is to put your finger on the Alt key or the Option key on a Macintosh, the Alt key on a Windows machine, and then you can choose just the one that you want to cut. So this will only cut through the selected object, not through any others. So that'll stop it accidentally cutting through the boundary or any other objects. So remember, you can use the split tool on 3D objects if you want. Don't forget, now that you've got your concept underway, to move this concept so that it sits on the site model. So you select part of it, let's go to AEC, and we're going to choose Terrain and Center Surface. So that's going to pop that up, and remember it's always the center that goes to the surface, so you might want to add a little bit to this to give a bit of a foundation. So that height there, copy it, and we're going to move this object. So how do we move that? Modify, move 3D. We want Z direction, paste. So they should now be sitting together. There they are. So if this was just a straight extruded object, like for example if we wanted to just use our push-pull tool on this, make it 6500, so let's make it fairly high. There's a bottom Z. We can paste that height in there as well. So it's now time to start looking at our site plan with everything on it, with the height restrictions, with the boundaries, all that kind of stuff on it. So let's just see how it looks. We don't want anything selected, and fit to objects. Now let's start to look at the other parts as well. So let's see what happens when we look at the site model along with this. So let's go to our layers, let's turn on our site model as well. There's our site model with our height to boundary restrictions. Let's render that, see whether we're going to fit inside there. And now we can see that this block, it fits within our height to boundary restrictions, but this corner here does not. So we still need to cut a corner off this object. Now the trick I used last time was to change to a view that would give me the back edge. That's the face I need. Now I can turn that site model back on. Let's look at our working plane, and the object is selected, so we should be able to use our split tool and cut that concept model. Remember the Alt or the Option key, so it only cuts the selected object. Now we can look at this from different views, and we should find that our model now fits within our height restrictions. We can push and pull the shape still, as long as we don't get any bigger than the original shape that we used for the concept, for the pricing.